Thanks for tuning in with me again for another one of my ICOC cult videos. Today, I'm just going to share a little bit about my experience of what it was like when I left as a married person whose husband was also a member. I've had people ask me if my husband is still a Christian or if he's still a member of the ICOC. No, he is not. He left the same time that I left. Like when I stopped going, he stopped attending also. My husband's experience is not the same as mine. We share very different experiences and feelings and emotions when it comes to the ICOC. My husband does agree with me when it comes to how I feel about how strict and controlling they are, but when we talk about the doctrine and how they try to get people roped into the scriptures, we kind of don't see eye to eye with that. The reason being is because my husband feels like how the members feel. If it's in the Bible and it's scripture, that no matter how it's said, that's how it is. He just doesn't agree with the way that they take on the approach. When I decided to leave, it was very difficult because I wasn't sure how he would feel about me leaving, knowing that he was also a member. But at the same time, he was not soaked in. Like he didn't have a lot of friends in the church. He was very to himself. Every time we would go to service, he wanted to sit all the way in the back. So when I first told my husband, I'm not going back to the church anymore, I don't really remember what he said, but he was just like, all right, that's fine. We can actually look for another church, because I was actually thinking about checking out some other church instead. And so I was really happy about that, because that was like one thing that we did not have to fight about. However, as time progressed, we did not always see eye to eye because my religious views did not coincide with his. To this day, there are things that we don't agree on, but this December of 2017 is going to make 2 years since I've left the church and since he's left the church. And we already know by now that we just cannot talk about religious things together. We can talk about it to a certain extent, but we can't go too deep into detail, because then we will start to get into some religious debate, and I don't like to do that. I'm not into political debates. I'm not into religious debates. I remember this one time after I left the church. It was probably about, I don't know, I want to say 1 to 2 months after I left. My husband was upset at me, and he called me on the phone, and we got into a big argument because he wanted to go to church and I didn't want to go. He wanted to go to a new church. I had already tried going to some churches with him, but then finally I was like, I don't think I could do it anymore. And he got really upset. He said to me, Tina, I don't know how we're going to work this out, because I still want to follow God and I still want to go to church, but I see that you're changing and you're supposed to follow me wherever I go. You're my wife. If I want to go to this church, you're supposed to automatically go with me to that church. Of course, you're probably thinking, wow, he sounds like a real jackass. But at the same time, I understood that it was just because this is how he was trained. This is the way that they taught him to think. Whatever he does, his wife has to do the same thing. I don't know too much about how it is in the singles ministry. I've heard some horror stories, but I know that if you're a part of the marriage ministry, they tend to put a lot of focus on submission. And so as a married woman, you're often told that you have to submit to your husband and follow his lead. So this is why he felt like I was being disobedient, not necessarily disobedient to him, but disobedient to God, as he said. But in my mind, I took it more as, no, you think I'm being disobedient to you because you know I don't want to go to church and I don't feel comfortable about this. And because I'm not going to go with you just because you want to go, you're upset. So from there, things really escalated, and it got really bad before it started to get better. I think that the main reason why we started to have a difficult time in our marriage is not because I stopped going to the ICOC, because like I said, he also stopped going. But I think it was really because my views on Christianity started to shift enormously. And when he met me, I was a Christian. I grew up going to church, and when I met him, I was going to a church where I lived, and it wasn't part of the ICOC. It was a regular church. It was one that I grew up in, and I used to drag him with me, and he was one of those people who believed in God but didn't believe in the Bible. So for him to see me go from being this preacher's daughter Christian girl to this person who's like, I'm more spiritual. I don't really believe in everything that Christianity tells me to believe anymore. To him, it was a lot. It was a lot for him to take in, and I tried my best to be patient and to understand it. But it got a bit out of hands, and I really thought that we were not gonna make it. I have to say that a lot of it was my fault. I do take a lot of blame just because of the fact that when I did decide to leave the church, I also kind of feel like I left God and I didn't know what to do. I was so confused. It was just way too much my first year of leaving Christianity. I've never been a non-Christian. I've never been a person who doesn't believe in all these things or who even questions all these things that the Bible and that church tells us. So it was a lot for me to handle, and it took a huge toll on our marriage, but thankfully we really got through it, and we're still getting through it every day. He saw me changing, especially when I started doing these videos. He didn't really have an opinion about the videos at first. He kind of was like, all right, if that's what you want to do. But we have argued about the videos I post so many times. I don't even think my husband's ever watched any of the videos. I know he's been around when I've recorded some of them, but I don't think he's actually sat down and watched any of them, nor do I really want him to, just because I don't want him to feel any type of way or to spark up any kind of problems between us. I had to make a decision that I would not cross the line in certain type of conversations when it comes to religion and the ICOC, including my channel. I had to tell myself, if I'm going to talk to him about the channel and about the videos, I'm not going to tell him too much, nothing that's going to make him feel uncomfortable. But he also had to learn and adjust to the new wife that he has. He had to learn to adjust to seeing that my mind and my perspective on life has changed, and a lot of things with me has changed, and it took him a long while to be able to just accept the fact that I may never go to church. Like, I may never want to go back to church ever again. He knows that I accept him the way he is, whether he's a Christian or not. He knows that if he wants to continue going to church, that I will support him because that's his decision, and I have nothing against that at all, of course. However, at the same time, he also knows how much the ICOC really hurt me, and the people in the ICOC damaged me, and how much they really kind of influenced the change in me, which it's like good changes and not so good changes, but it's a process. Whenever you're going through something traumatic and you start to change, you're gonna kind of go through the bad before you get to the good. And right now I'm finally getting to the good part. I'm finally starting to come together and find my balance between God and what I really think. And I'm just finally starting to learn and accept that I am not a Christian, I am not religious, and I don't like church. But I'm getting to a place where I'm getting comfortable to be able to just acknowledge and accept this is just who I am, and he's learning that too. He does still believe in God, he still believes in Jesus, he still believes in everything that the Bible says. I don't think he'll ever go back to the ICOC. When he started to see what they were doing and started to realize the effect they were having on me and other people around us, then he started to realize and see, like, okay, yeah, they're kind of messed up, like that's messed up what they did. But at the same time, he didn't really experience all the things I experienced because he didn't socialize with people as much as I did. He likes to be to his own space. He takes time to adjust to people that he doesn't know, so he didn't open up his space and surroundings to people as much. Plus, he's a man, and I feel that they treat married men a little bit more different than how they treat married women in the ICOC. As of right now, our marriage is doing way better. We are doing really well. We're able to vibe and to talk and to just be together and enjoy each other's company, especially the fact that we don't have the pressure of having someone else having to always interfere with our issues in our marriage, because when you're married you go through a ton of issues and it just takes the weight off. So we're comfortable to be able to just talk to each other instead of being like, okay, let's go talk to that person, or let's go talk to that person. I think another thing that's helped my husband adjust to my changes is him seeing that I've been using my experience and my trials and my obstacles as a way to help other people. If I didn't go through the things I went through, I wouldn't be making these videos. I wouldn't be able to relate to other people. I wouldn't be able to help so many other people who feel like they're alone. My husband is very supportive. He is the best. He is the freaking best. Like, he supports everything that I want to do wholeheartedly, whether he agrees with it or not. Even if he puts up a little fight in the beginning, my husband really supports me. So I think that once he started to see how much I love making these videos, because I love making YouTube videos in general. I have 2 other channels. I do a lot of other things. He knows how much I love this and how much I feel like it helps me because I'm helping other people. And I think that once he started to see that, it made it easier for him to be able to accept my changes. Tina's using it for the good. Tina's finding her place in this life, in this world, and she's helping other people to find theirs. And so he just supports it completely. I could not ask for a better husband, to be honest with you. He's the freaking best. If you're married and you just left the ICOC, maybe your spouse is still a part of the church, or maybe they left with you, you may go through things, especially if your spouse is still a part of the church or if they're still brainwashed. Just hold on tight. This is going to be your trial. This is going to be the test to your relationship, because leaving the ICOC as a married couple, it really tests your relationship. And it makes you go through things. It makes you confront certain things when there's no disciples there, or no discipling partner, or the pastor, or this Bible talk leader to help you and to talk to you as a group and to help you overcome whatever it is by opening up the Bible and being like, okay, let's talk about this, let's talk about that. You don't have that anymore. So when you leave the ICOC as a married couple, you're really forced to confront your issues on your own. I've heard of many couples who actually ended up getting a divorce after leaving the ICOC. Try your best to get through it. Don't compromise yourself just to keep your spouse around. Don't go back to the ICOC just because your spouse wants to remain a part of the ICOC. Don't allow your spouse to make you feel like, if you love me, you would stay in the church with me, because that is what they will try to make your spouse influence you to do. This is what they're going to try to coerce you, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to go for the wrong reasons. Just like I said in my last video, it's very important to me that you don't go for the wrong reasons, and you're not a part of the church for the wrong reasons, because then you're not going to get anything out of it except for stress. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Before you leave, please give us a thumbs up for this channel. And when I say us, I'm talking about you guys and me, because we all build this community together. Email me if you have a video request, or if you have a question, or you want to rant about something, or if you need advice about something. Just hit me up. Leave a comment. I'm gonna always make sure that I speak to you guys. I love talking to you guys. Keep the comments going, keep the thumbs up, keep hitting that sub button, and I'll see you next week. Enjoy.